Hello everyone. So this is going to be a small review of this petrol powered washer. This is made by brand INGCO. INGCO is a Chinese brand and they have a huge variety of tools. You can check online on their website for more info. Okay, it is all made in China. First of all, sorry for the shaky camera. I'm making this video from my phone, so the video will be a little shaky. So it is powered by a 208cc petrol engine and it is rated for 3100 psi, 214 bars. It comes with 4 nozzles. One is red, which is 0 degree. Second one is green, which is 25 degree. Then there is white, which is 40 degree, and black one is for soap. So I've been using this washer since the last 2-3 weeks and it works very well. It starts on the very first pull and it had a lot of power. So I'm going to open this pump because the first reason is that I want to see the shaft size of the engine. Because if I ever want to change this pump, I should know that what is the size of the shaft. And the second reason that I am going to open this pump is to change the oil. So I am going to open it up and I am going to see what sort of oil inside of this pump is, and then I am going to change the oil to let me show you. I have this Liqui Moly fully synthetic gear oil, which is SAE 7590, and you can also use engine oil if you want to. This will also work. Now this section of the pump, it gets really hot because all the heat from the engine is transferred to the pump via the shaft. The oil in this has to be really good, okay, and this is the area which pumps the water, okay. This is water cooled. When the water comes in, it cools down the pump. You won't be able to open these bolts with any other tool, okay, because of the shape of the pump. You cannot access this bolt with any other tool. The only tool that you have to use is a hex key, which is like I tried with this tools and it was not a success, okay. So ultimately I had to get this one. Now this is the only sort of a tool that will work, okay. So let me open the pump and I will keep you up to date after opening. Okay, so with the right tool, it took me 10 minutes to open the 4 bolts, and there is the pump, and there is the shaft, and there is here you can see the key which sits in this cut. So now I'm going to measure the shaft and I will share it with you guys, okay. So this is what the pump looks like. Nothing special. It is just a Chinese made pump, and here is the input shaft. Now in order to access the oil, basically I'll have to open these 3 bolts which will remove the head, and then I'll be able to access these 4 bolts, 2 over here and 2 on the other side, and then I'll be able to open this thing up, which contains the oil. Okay, so this is known as a thermal relief valve, and its purpose is that if you leave the machine running, the water basically starts to circulate and it starts to heat up, which is not good for the pump. So once it becomes very hot, this valve comes into action and it lets go all the hot water that is inside the pump, and it lets in the cold water from the inflow hose. But by the time this valve gets activated, there might be some damage to the pump. So the thing is that you should never leave your pump running. If you don't want to use it, just turn off the engine. If you leave it running for like more than 5-6 minutes without pulling the trigger, this pump will get damaged. So that's the thing. This is what the pump looks like from the inside, but I must tell you that there was an insane, I repeat, an insane amount of Loctite that somebody put in these 3 bolts. I hope you will be able to see it. And it was not easy opening these 3 bolts. These were the 3 bolts that were supposed to be open to access these 4 bolts. But there was a lot of Loctite, and I don't understand why would somebody put such an insane amount of Loctite in such a pump. Anyways, this is what the pump looks like from the inside. These are the 3 washers that sit over here. The grooved side is downwards. You can see there's a groove in the washer, so it sits like this, downwards. Okay, so I have managed to open the last 4 bolts, and this is what the pump looks like from the inside. And these are the 3 pistons that run on this plate, and this is the oil that I have found inside. I'm not sure about the color of this oil. Maybe you guys can have a look and comment on whether this looks to be good oil or a bad oil. So I leave it on you. Okay, so this is the oil that came out of the pump, and there are a lot of small shiny particles inside the oil. I hope you will be able to see it. I'm not sure what it is. It seems to be some sort of a mixture. I don't know. So maybe you guys can have a look at this and tell me, what do you think these small shiny particles are? So I have cleaned this pump, and now it is free of any sort of metal debris or the dirty oil. And now I'm going to reassemble it, and I won't be able to make the video because I don't have a camera stand, but it is fairly easy. The first thing that goes in is this bearing, then the main shaft goes in like this, then the second bearing, and then this plate. So it's very easy. But do put a small amount of lube on this shaft and these pistons so that everything can slide through easily without damaging the rubber washers. So this is the level of the oil which I found at the pump when I took it apart, and I have refilled some fresh oil in it, and you have to make sure not to overfill this pump, because if you do, the seals will get damaged. So this is the amount of oil that I have put in this pump, which is enough. The pump is now assembled, and I have put a small amount of blue Loctite on all the 7 screws, the bolts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now it is ready to go on the machine, and I have applied some grease on the shaft. The grease is liquid moly, just to save it from rust. So it's time to put the pump back on this machine. Okay, so what happened is that while I was trying to open those 3 bolts with red Loctite, this valve got damaged in the fight. I don't know what sort of a damage it is and what sort of an effect it will have on this valve, but still I'm going to check it. I'm going to see how it functions. I'm going to run some hot water through it, and I will see that what sort of a function this valve has. Okay, so the valve is working as intended, and here's how this valve works. There's a spring inside this body which is exerting an upward force, and there's a valve over here, and that spring basically keeps the valve shut. There's also a cylinder inside this body which contains wax, and it also contains a piston. Now you'll be able to see that piston going through this white thing. Okay, so when the wax becomes hot, it expands and it pushes the piston upwards, and when the piston touches the top of this white thing, it exerts an upward force, and as a result an equal and opposite downward force is generated, which pushes this spring downwards, and the valve is open and the water can flow through this valve. As soon as the wax become cool, the piston moves backwards. There is no force that can keep the spring downwards. The spring again moves up and it shuts the valve, and the water can no more pass through this. So this is how this valve works. I hope that this info will be useful. Okay, so everything is now back together, and it's time to start the machine and check it. But before I start the machine, I would like to strongly suggest that you must change the oil of the pump after the first few hours of use. Keeping in view the condition of the oil that came out of the pump, it had a lot of metal particles and it was very dirty. So even if your manual says that your pump is maintenance free, do not believe it. Every machine in the world requires maintenance. So it is worth the effort. Now that I have changed the oil and I have put a good quality oil, I do not need to worry about the oil change for the rest of the remaining life of this pump. Okay. I hope that the things and the info that I have shared in the video will be helpful. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. So, choke on, petrol is, here it is off and here it is on. engine switch on.